Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to my YouTube channel, Emanzi Business Marketing Agency. Well, I hope you're well, taking care of yourselves, wearing masks, sanitizing, keeping your social distance, so that we stay safe. We need to kick out this disease. I want to thank our official sponsors, Serena Hotels. Thank you for taking care of us. Serena is now open. The hotel is open. Their ballrooms are open. It has many packages ongoing for the rooms. Please visit their website for details. Today it's going to be a bit different. Those who know me know that I'm a lawyer by profession, and there's a topic that came to my interest, or that came to my concern. I've had several questions about this topic, and it's my specialization, I should say. It's like my strength, and that's about land in general. Most of us, as we earn, as we make our profits, we want to reinvest, or should I say invest. And some of us are dealing with real estate, others farms, others want to build homes, and so land is becoming a serious problem in our country. We're having disputes that are cropping by the day. I'm sure some of you have witnessed them on our social media platforms, on our national TVs, and you're seeing how land is becoming critical. So I felt like I should talk to my viewers and advise them on how to handle these issues, especially those who want to invest. Land is one of the fastest growing, I should say, its value appreciates daily. So it is something that we all need to be aware of. That's why the disputes are coming up. Everyone has come up with a technique on how to cheat on land, to grab land, to, con land and all that. So I wanted you to pay attention. I'm going to guide you on how and what to do when you want to buy land. Please pick your pen, because when we avoid it, then we'll end up safe. Number one, if you're interested in buying land and maybe you have identified the location, let's say I want to buy land in Entebbe, or I want to buy land in Wakiso, and I want to start the hunt, we need to be careful where we find the adverts for the land. Some people, there are so many land brokers. Some are on social media, some are on websites, I don't know, GG, I don't know, whatever, Orex. But we need to be very careful. When you want to look for land and you have identified your location, let's say Wakiso, I would rather, and it is much safer, that you get to know about this land from the brokers in that location. Let's say Wakiso. We are still on Wakiso. Wakiso is very big. You can say Entebbe. Or Chira. You go to Chira. Chira, in the trading center, they are land brokers. And these brokers in Chira are known. They are registered in Chira. Their offices are usually registered in Chira. I would imagine they are better because they have the address and they are easy to identify and to also know about. In case you need information about them, you can always ask those in the neighborhood of where they are. And then you know, oh, this is a starting point. The brokers in Chira, or let's say Entebbe, know the land in their location. So they will take you to that land. They'll take you to many sites, or there's this, there's that, BCD. When you have maybe picked interest in certain pieces, you need to go back without the brokers. First of all, ask for the information on that land, the documental information. That is, either it's a title, or it's an agreement, or whatever it is, so that, because that is what will identify the owner of the land. Then after you've got your documentation, maybe if it's a title, you can have a search done on that title to see if the owner is matching with the registrar of lands. If it's in the registrar, then you know, okay, that is one item off the list. So when you're doing the search, you go to the Register of Lands of that particular, let's say Wakiso. If the land is in Wakiso, you go to Wakiso Registrar. Search, you pay a certain search fee, which is like 10 or 15,000. Have a search, and you'll have it documented. Who is the owner? Are there any encumbrances? Encumbrances meaning, are there any other parties that are interested in the land? These may be the banks, these may be other parties, third-party interests, or any other. And that, when you find the search is clear, it's showing there are no encumbrances, and it's just that, then you're good to go for the third step I'm about to give you. On the third step, you'll have to go back to the land. But this time, don't go with the brokers. You have your person, it could be a lawyer, it could be anyone, and you go back to the land and have your due diligence. You can ask the neighbors, you can ask the chairman 1, chairman 2, chairman 3, because sometimes even the chairman are involved in these disputes. Find out from them if the information they give you is tallying with the one that you have done your search with, the information that's on your search. These people, the neighbors, know their neighbors. They will tell you, or they will tell you, oh no, yagenda da tachaliwo. Generally, when you have your due diligence done on ground, and it can be wide, you can even go up to the local area police, area chairman, those old people in the areas, whatever. Now, if you find your information is tallying, that is the third one. That is going to what? That is going to go off the list. Then the fourth one comes with identification. Because we've had cases where a Sandra Njomjeni comes up, she's selling off her land, and then, yes, the title is Sandra Njomjeni. You've gone to do your search on the land. Yes, Sandra Njomjeni is the owner of the land, but the Sandra Njomjeni that will come up might be a different one. So in this case, if you're ready to buy, it's better you go back, because I've had cases, or we've received cases where the agreement is done in town, in chambers, in town somewhere. When you're in town and the chairmen are not there, the neighbors are not there, everyone is not there to witness, you end up with the wrong Sandra Njomjeni in town, because these national IDs can be made. Unfortunately, we have I don't know if they are very clever people or what, but we have national IDs that you see Sandra Njomjeni, and I have mine Sandra Njomjeni, and it's the same ID, same age, same everything, but places are different. I don't know how they are doing it, don't ask me, but it's happening. So to avoid such huge mistakes, because this is now, you're coming to the end of a transaction, but you're likely to have a wrong transaction if you're not dealing with the right person. So that's why I encourage any land buyers to go back on ground where you identify the land, where the chairmen are. Bring your buyers, your sellers. Bring the sellers. You are the buyer. Have witnesses. Let the chairman be there. Lately, I encourage even someone from police to be there. Because when you call someone from police, if it's a mufedi, they'll run off. They will not appear. And usually even these conmen, when you call them on ground and they are not the right people, they will not come. But usually they want to take you to lawyers because they know they won't be verified, or it's safer there. So you go back on ground. It should be a ceremony of transaction. Let everyone be there. Don't let people not call you a coward. You're right to be a coward when you're spending your money, because everyone has come up with this idea of how to grab land. And then on ground, you're easier to do it. It's an easy transaction. Yes, now that is for the side of the transaction. For verification purposes, it's also because we've received some cases also where the land does not tally with the measurements that are on the title and not the ones on the ground. So it's very important for a surveyor. Someone shouldn't tell you, oh, it's 25 decimals, now that's it. It's 25. You have to need someone to open the boundaries. In that case, you will avoid boundary issues, because there are some people who come and tell you, the next you know it, the neighbors. That is not your land, madam. You're in my land. This was mine. No, the person who sold me. It becomes a long story. You're better off getting your title and opening boundaries, and make sure the boundaries are the same as they appear on the title. Then you also know you're safe there. At least the boundary issues, that's a dispute you've avoided. So you have avoided. You see how we have avoided disputes, getting into the wrong hands, having the wrong title because you've done your search. Don't allow the sellers come with their searches. No, do your own. If you find a caveat, I'd rather you go and look for another piece, because usually that is a war you don't want to fight with other parties. Then when the transactions are done and you've got your land and probably it's genuine, because usually when the transaction is done on ground, it's very rare that you end up with an ungenuine title or ownership. When you're done with that, please do not leave your land empty. We have places, we've seen cases where someone buys land and it's like, that's my land, I have my title, and moves away. There's no check on it, there's no fence, there's no caretaker. Tomorrow someone else will come and start a construction. The law is very clear on the possession. The first in possession has more power than, I'll try to use layman's language so that we all understand. But the first person who takes over the land usually is protected by the law. It's very hard to get that person off, even if they put a container. And imagine someone is trying to steal your land, has found it vacant and has brought a container. And you have to go to court to take off that container. Yet you could have put a caretaker, you could have built a small house on it, put a caretaker, or to the contrary, you can fence it. You can fence it. But there's a case, I'm going to keep telling you this so that you understand how serious this is. Someone put a fence, put a gate. Another person from nowhere comes up one night, because this land is in Entebbe and the person lives in Kampala. Puts down the gate, puts in a container, and starts constructing. In 2 days, foundation was done. So you can imagine how someone is in Kampala and they call you that, oh, you started constructing without informing us. And it's like, wait a minute, I am not constructing. Like, no, but people on your land constructing. By the time it goes to interview, and this person says, no, I was a Chibanza holder also, 1986. This was my land in 1986. And by the time you start now, that case going through court, because the foundation is there, and by the time you knew it, in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, the house is roofed and done. Tell me how you're going to fight that one. So I advise that when someone has a piece of land, even if it's 50 by 100, put a small structure for caretaker, and you put a caretaker. Someone you trust, of course, because there are instances where the caretakers themselves sell off the land. But that is in a land which is not titled. But like land which is titled, it's very hard. It's not usual that the caretaker can sell off a piece of land. So when you have someone there, they take care of your land. Even these land grabbers, they stay away, because you've already put up a structure. And remember, the other law of the first in possession, that one now applies, because this person really put up there's a structure there. Maybe it's a boys' quarter, or it's what, but it's something to make the land busy. That is land, this special land around us here. Now when you go to these farms and what, it's the same process. It's the same, because there are people who have been conned a lot of money buying nothing. You find a man has paid off, he has his title. When he goes to take possession, knives, pangas appear, and like, this is not, no, I didn't sell off my land, this is not your land. People start fainting, collapsing, and it's really too late. Most of these guys run away, they switch off their phones, and it becomes a police case, it becomes going up and down, yet it could have been avoided in the first place. You need to do your due diligence. You need to investigate, you need to... Don't get lazy to go and do your searches. Don't get lazy to go back and do your investigations to find out who is this, where does this person come from, where, you can even go up to NIRA. And when it comes to that identification, make sure the transaction is done on ground. Because the LCs know these people. The neighbors will say, oh, you see, oh, like that. And there you know that at least you are safe. So, my viewers, if you're interested in investments, and yeah, land would be a good investment, because that one appreciates. It's not a loss. You can even buy it and keep quiet and wait for a year or two and sell it off, and still it will bring something home for you. But you need to be extremely, extremely careful. For any other questions, you may be having land troubles, you may be having land disputes, you may be having any other question about land, don't hesitate to ask us, don't hesitate to look out for me. I can help, I can guide you on even how to go about these other things that have gone bad already. In the case, now we've talked about the title. In the case of agreements are a bit tricky, because you cannot do a search on an agreement. But usually, an agreement which is down on ground by the LCs, by the neighbors, on the ground of the land, where the land is located, is easy to trace, because you go back to the same people or the same neighbors, and at least you can always ask them or have your due diligence around the land to find out because there's some land which is in Dagano land, which is maybe Milo land, It may be any. Some people have maybe, and that they never made their titles, they were in the process, they have not yet actually come up with titles. But even this, we can always trace it back to where the land is. You can do your due diligence around there, and you will be like, oh no, mchala tumumanyi. So then Dagano, what I even also advise some of my clients, when you look at the agreement, because the agreement must stipulate the boundaries. There is a case I was looking at recently, and this person bought in 2003 by agreement, and now they're having a boundary dispute. And of course, there are many years to trace the actual boundary, because the other side there is a river, the other side there is what, and now the tree of the mango tree is not there, the river is there, the other side over there is like a swamp, maybe it dried, so it becomes problematic. So you find now this person is stuck. The other guy is claiming his boundary, he has a title already, and somehow his title took up the boundaries that we are talking about into her land, though she bought hers first, but the neighbor titled before her. And also the law is very clear on such things. The title that comes first also takes precedent. So you can imagine the chaos she's in, because the mango tree is no longer there, the swamp dried. So the neighbors around will be like, no, why do you want me to go here? But you remember how many mango trees can be around. So it becomes really, really unfortunate. That's why I always advise people, when you get an agreement, a land which has only an agreement show for it, please find out from that person, the person who sold to the person. You also need to have the prior agreement, so that you have a history of the land before you need to do your thorough search from the history of the land. And the only place you can do a search of agreements, like a due diligence, is on ground. You will not go to the ministry to take your agreement. It's not possible. So it's only on ground where you start asking, ono mchala yali wolu, or 2003 yagula kwani, ono wa 2000 yamuguza chali chitufu, yali akola chi, this is this and that. Naye sometimes it comes, naye ono muzukulu yatunda. Now you come to find out, muzukulu atunda ati atoli yafa. So does the muzukulu have powers to sell? Then you start chaos. Some things you just want to walk away and look for the ones which are easy to take, because they say cowards live longer. Most of those things come up with problems. Then, when you're done with your agreement, and maybe you have genuinely done your due diligence and it's genuine, it's better you title your land. It's better you title your land. You do the full process and have it titled. Because if you don't, someone will title it for you. And someone will come up with a title, and you'll be there on your land, maybe with your cassava and matoke, and you end up being a chibanja to someone who has a title. Because you say, nze nanyini wawano, oli ali wa chibanja, nze nali nze wataka. So at that time, you'd rather, as soon as you get your agreement like this, process starts for titling. Because many titles are coming up, and him will say, nze sina buzibu nawe, nze nkumanyi, naye nze ndi wataka, oli wa chibanja. So tell me how you're going to win that one. It's not easy. So now we are coming to land where the persons have died. Now where the persons have died also, it's tricky land, because you go to a certain land and they'll say, oh, etaka lili ya maybe mzee Chwanuka, na yeye afa. So you go to see the title, here indeed it's mzee Chwanuka. There is square mile mzee Chwanuka. Mzee Chwanuka died. So who is the administrator? Because ajagamba muzukulu yatunda. Do not deal with a muzukulu. Do not deal with anyone unless you have letters of administration. You first ask them, before I buy your land, rest in peace Mr. Chwanuka, but who is the administrator to his estate? If they have administrators, deal with them. But even before you deal with these administrators, ask them for their letters of administration. When you get the letters of administration, go and verify with court if they are registered, if they are genuine. If they are not genuine, take off. If they are genuine, there you have a starting point, because at least you have backup. Get your letters of administration, get the letters of administration and verify, because the title must not be in the late man's name or in someone who died. And if you see someone died and is still on a title and is selling, a dead person cannot transfer, a dead person cannot sell land. It must be in the people with the letters of administration, and that land will be written on the names but showing the administrators of an estate of Mzee Chwanuka. And those are the people you deal with. And if there are 3 administrators, don't deal with one administrator, because your transaction becomes invalid. Make sure the 3 administrators, you deal with both of them, with the 3 of them. These are the same people that are going to transfer this land to you. So if they tell you etaka nanyini jo yafa naye muzukulu atunda naye mutabani we atunda, that's not enough. This person should have letters of administration, and when they get to have the letters of administration, you can deal with them. You're also safe there. Of course, then you go back to go through the procedure I've told you, having your due diligence, have all these things, make sure the transactions are done on ground, transaction done in lawyer's office. I'm a lawyer, I'm not discouraging lawyers. I didn't say don't have a lawyer. It's always good to have a lawyer in land transactions, because they know these things more than the layman. But it's better not to meet in the offices, bring the lawyer to the ground and have it done there. Because there, even if anything goes wrong, you have done, the chairman's stamp is there. You are safer there, because sometimes the chairman, you go to the ground and the chairman says, abatebampita nze nabawulirako nawulira bajeyo mu tawuni nti babasasula bakola ki, ate ebyo byebyo omusajja wano twali tetumumanyi. Imagine he heard about it, but he will not stop because you didn't call him in, so he will not invite himself. So he's better off being part of the transaction in the first place. So now we're coming to issue of land with squatters. So I imagine you want to buy some land, maybe for farming, because that's the one that usually have squatters. And they tell you it has squatters. You actually see for yourself, because when you go on ground to do your due diligence, you find there are people. Don't ignore them. You need to find out, how did these people come? What are they doing here? Babibanja, as in the Chibanja sense, according to the law, do they follow under the 12 years? Or are they trespassers? Are they there with the knowledge of the owner? Because the law that covers, I'll put down the section as they'll keep running around the screen, so that you keep checking and verifying. When it comes to squatters, the law is very clear. Squatters are lawful occupants, because they are occupying with the knowledge of what? The registered proprietor. Now, when you're dealing with squatters, the law says before the owner of the land intends to sell it off, he's supposed to give the first opportunity to his squatters to see if they can buy themselves. If they cannot buy themselves or buy their interests, when they say buy themselves in Uganda, is kwegula. Now here in law, it's buying the interest. If they cannot buy their interest, that is when the outside person comes in. So when you come out from there and you find land is already occupied by squatters, you need to find out what are their expectations. Are they aware that you're coming in? Because if they are not aware, it will be very hard for you to establish yourself on that land. The lands will chase you themselves. They need to know you're coming in. So it's better you task the registered proprietor to introduce you to his squatters. There are instances where people sell off land, and when they go to occupy it, the squatters come after them. You've seen them on TV. And you find this new buyer is highly inconvenienced because the other one got his money so rarely, he's not interested in you. Then he passes off the cancer to you, and you start, and that is a cancer that is a serious one. It needs to introduce you to the squatters. As the new landlord, I encourage people, even with squatters, to go through the chairman and to go through the residence district commissioners. The RDC can help you have a cordial meeting with those squatters, so that oba twegule oba mbagule oba tugabane, you know, because at the end of it all, it comes back to the relationship between you and your squatter. What is the relationship? It's either twegule mutesa abantu bagamba, you know what, if mboba kwata bulungi nze genda kwegula naye munange nze sizisobola mpaya akange nze nsembereyo. You find them, okay, if it's 5 acres, you leave him on 1.5, you've taken that 3, and you give him his car title. Because you say, you know, for them, as long as you give them a title, it's the way you handle them. If you come gwagala kusenda, they will not allow. If you come and say twagala kutesa, they will start coming. You know, you just warm up the ground for them, and it will be okay. But when the landlord introduces you, then you will know. And that is before you pay. Because most of these squatters, they be wanting to buy their interests. But the landlord maybe is looking for money, or they are buying at a lower rate, or the period of payment, because most times they don't have money. Tuja kusasura mwaka, the other one is bringing hard cash. So it comes to greed. But it's always better you have the landlord introduces you. There's a case recently, this week. Someone called me and said, we were a baby banja, and so what we have they've always known baby banja, that they had always had. The professor is the landlord. But someone came recently on the land with powers of attorney and says he has been sent by the professor to handle the banja, and he has been negotiating with them, and was asking me, so, and he said, excuse me, wait a minute, you've never met the landlord? No, we have never met him. Did the landlord introduce to you this man with the powers of attorney? No, he hasn't. So how do you deal with a person whose origin you don't know? He said, no, he's a lawyer from town and he has been sent to negotiate. I said, no. I'm like, that one, it's a big mistake you're making. You're going to make someone very rich. You'll give him money and he will take off. And the real person will come and it will be another story. I said, you task the chairman of the area task the resident district commission of the area to bring to you that landlord, and let that landlord officially introduce to you the man with the powers of attorney. These powers of attorney, for God knows, can be made on Loom Street. It can be made, I can even sit and make one and sign it off as Sudhir's agent, and I go robbing people. So you need the landlord to introduce you. And when the landlord introduces you to the squatters, then you start negotiation. Don't use force. It's when you use force that you get problems. And if squatters are allowed to be compensated, either by you or by the landlord, if they are not willing to buy themselves, and the landlord has brought you in, and they say fetuwaka fetugenda kusenguka, don't pay them off and give them months to live. And say, oh, kankusasula milioni 10 naye nkuwadde emyezi 2 wetegeke ugende. No, that squatter will eat that money and will stay on that land. I advise clients, when you're compensating your squatters, make sure there's a truck waiting for them with their things loaded. You give them money as they drive off. As they drive off, make sure you have a demolition company putting down that structure. Because there you give them money, you're getting stuck with them. Because you tell you nyongerayo mwezi gumu, nyongerayo omulala, please add me another month. The house I was going to is not ready. Because the 10 million, you put it in a business and you will be stuck. Tomorrow you say, no, he didn't pay me. They are chasing us. I was not paid. You remain with your agreement, the squatter remain there. Oh, you say, no, you gave me little money. No. That money was very little. I need 20 million. Why? Because that is a mistake you made. It was better you park as you pay him or her. He's getting on his truck and exiting. As it exists, that structure is going down. You're clearing there. No one is caught on the wrong side of the law because you've compensated your squatter. For a fact, she has acknowledged receipt of the money and gone. And everything is clear. Then you can redo it. And for those who agree to stay, but give us eke muchitundu, immediately bring a surveyor. Survey is off the 1.5. But deed plan, by the time you know it title, quite a chapacho. Because there you delay the process. You start tetwakirizawo. Zena kugamba zilizo eka 2, twatesa eka 2. How come you're giving me 1 acre? That is because you delay. You would rather have resolved this in the first place, making that title, surveyor title, done. I hope you're understanding me. So, when you go to realize you are reducing your problems just by doing the right thing. Just by doing the right thing. Involve everyone. Squatters is not a bad thing, but how you handle it is the bad thing. It matters a lot how you handle them. Because it's very rare to find 100 acres free. Rare. But you can find some have put up a structure, maybe others are gardening. And also one thing I tell people, to be very careful with the squatters that do gardening. Because you come and garden and you allowed him. No, you be doing some cultivation as you take care of my land. That person is going to be a squatter. The next minute you know it, they'll be a structure, the neighbors will be gardening, then it will be a whole party of squatters. So I would rather you have a caretaker. At least a caretaker, you pay them, you take care of your land, you check on it once in a while. Do not check on your land, especially if it's still vacant. And then if you see someone come on and put up a place there or put cassava. Deal with that person there and then. Don't say, auntie now they are cultivating. It's okay. That it's okay is what is going to cause problems in the future. So I hope really, I don't know what else I've not covered, but land is quite vast. There's a lot to learn. Every day something comes up. Even land grabbers are coming up with new techniques. The conmen are coming up with new ones. So it's a learning process by the day, and yet we need it. It's a sweet investment. So in case you want to hear anything, you want to know more about land, you have your questions, you have your concerns, maybe even you have your things that have already gone bad and you're in these situations, you can always ask and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, I know that maybe I've spoken to us all, because we're not going to talk about how to make money, how can we make money. We know also, I needed to bring to you the reality that your hard-earned money can easily go to waste if you don't do the right thing and if you're not careful as you're doing the right thing. Otherwise, God bless you. We love you. We thank again our sponsor, Serena. Thank you for taking care of us as usual. Serena is open. Lots of stuff, good food, packages. So those who have always wanted to spend a night, the rates have gone down and it's a beautiful place. We love you. Take care. God bless you.